Captain on the bridge.
Alright, captains, we are back on the bridge, and today, yes, we will be on the Texas Miracle Worker Escort. Yes, captains, but before we get into this video, do us a huge favor, hit that like button, as it really does help the channel out. But also, if you're new here, welcome. Consider subscribing here to our YouTube bridge, where we're always on the lookout for like-minded captains, where we can share our love, our passion for Star Trek Online, but also things Star Trek. Now, with that said, here we go. Yes, captains, as I mentioned, we will be on the Texas class. Now, before we go on, huge shout out first to Nick_NB for gifting us the Texas class on our birthday. I actually had this ship on the list. I didn't get it right away as it really didn't appeal to me as much, but you caps know I do like lower decks. I love lower decks. And this ship, though cool, it actually kind of reminds me of like a tactical Nova for some reason, but it was on the list, but he wanted me to use this ship and actually the console on it, but we'll talk about it a little bit more when we go through the build. And also what we're going to do, theme this build wise, what it is a beam overload FAW escort, or a Beamscort. And what we had done with this ship was we had recent orders on a theme night to actually go do that via SPACEBOY, who redeemed a theme night there on the Twitch bridge. So he mentioned just as long as you do a beam overload or FAW or both builds on one ship, and I think we achieved that, and it's been really fun flying the ship. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the build, of course the weapons, space set, consoles, traits, stations, and docks, and then take it into a cure advance. But yes, this was of course seen on lower decks, and I like it. I do like it, and of course it really has all the influences, of course, of Starfleet with the torpedo launchers, both fore and aft, if I may add, and also of course the phaser strips. And we've been having a lot of fun since we've gotten this. About a couple of weeks now that I've been using this, and it's just been really fun to use. So let's go over the build here. As you can see there, I named it the USS Nick's birthday present, and it is the Texas Miracle Worker Escort. So what we did here to get the FAW and beam overload, well, the weapons actually really helped with that as well. So in the 4 weapons here, we've used this before and we'll use it again here, is the phaser beam array with the overproc. So as I have 4 of these in the actual front. Here, of course, all epicked out to mark 15, crit DM damage 3. And of course, I have 1 here in the back. So that's going to play a part of how we actually situate ourselves in our targets when we're taking them down. I just got these off the exchange a long time ago, and they've been pretty fun. And does the overproc? Yes, they do. Not all the time, but when you do, it's like usually right after FAW, and there's something else also helping to create that effect. And of course, captains, you probably already know, but we'll go over that when we get over the consoles there. So the space set, nothing too different. The Elite Fleet Intervention Protomatter Deflector from your fleet colony. The prevailing innovative impulse engines from your competition rep. It's going to use the Elite Fleet Plasma Integrated Warp Core from your fleet spire, and the Tilly's Review Pending Modified Shield from your Discovery rep. And as I mentioned here, we got the 5th beam here, with the over mod there, and then we have an omnidirectional phaser beam array here, crit DM damage times 3. Got that from the actual exchange. And then this, the Trilithium Enhanced Omnidirectional Phaser Beam from the featured episode Nexus. Helps with a little chance of haste here and there. Experimental weapon, we are using what actually comes with the ship, and we did see this fire these purple torpedoes, and that's why we're going to use it here, because why not? So it's called the VAQ Warhead Individual Launch System. So it is a medium range kinetic damage, launches a VAQ warhead at target foe, which splits into 6 projectile after 1.25 seconds, default 3 clicks. Foe hit before split, 19,459.7 kinetic damage. Foe hit within 4 clicks of split, 6,486.6 kinetic damage times 6. If no hit far away foes, 6,486.6 kinetic damage times 2, up to 3 targets with an 8.5 second recharge. So we saw this again, as I mentioned, in the episode where we saw the Texas class, and yeah, we're going to use it for the immersion. Because Caps, you know I love me some torpedoes, and this, I think it only did fire purple torpedoes. I don't think it fired like quantums or photons. Devices, we are going with our advanced battery energy candy, of course, for the plus 20% bonus energy weapon damage for 20 seconds, plus 30 starship shield penetration for 20. And our good old Kobayashi Maru transponder for its buff goodness. So for the universal consoles here and the engineering, we are using our advanced engineering isomagnetic plasma distribution manifolds, or ISOMAGs, for the phaser, with a 30.94% phaser damage, 7.3 weapon power, and 7.3 stacking max weapon power. It's been doing quite well, and I'm not gonna lie, in an ISE in terms of different team configurations, but a more channel style run with a tank, this did almost 400k. I think the highest it did was like 376 if I'm not mistaken. But again, we always have essentially a coordinated run. On a non-tank run, I think this did about almost 300, so it was about 200 something. But good enough, it did really well. I am very pleased with how this thing performs. We're going to use the console that does come with it as well, and there it is, the BAQ Warhead Multiple Launch System. Again, 31.2% kinetic and beam damage, and it gives us some hull, so 16.3% hull capacity. So again, the same sort of name of the experimental weapon as well. So it stores up to 12 charges, uses all when firing. Each charge launches a BAQ warhead at a random foe within target 135-degree arc, splits into 6 projectiles after 1.25 seconds, again default 3 clicks, and when it hits before the split, 22,505 kinetic damage. Will hit within 4 clicks of split, 7,501.7 kinetic damage times 6. So it performs a little better with experimental weapon. Mind you, I can probably upgrade this, which I don't think I really am. I'm not sure how many times I'm going to use this, as I have other preferred experimental weapons. But we have it, and if we do, well, that option is there for us to use. Now, one of the reasons why Nick gave me this ship is that console is to torpedo builds like what the emulating phaser lance was prior to that. So it helps with universal designs. So I'm still using that too. So again, this console comes with the Texas Miracle Worker Escort. It's great. I have my purple torps firing, and it helps my immersion. So that's all that really matters regardless in the end. But also we're going to use still the emulating phaser lance, because I feel like that's just also a beam overload type hit. And of course that comes from the Deimos pilot destroyer that we got for event campaign a couple years ago. But it also gives us 15.8% phaser damage, 43.8 starship shield pen, and again it's a heavy phaser damage there. We're like 30,755.3 phaser damage. So again, that comes from the Deimos pilot destroyer, which you can get from your event campaign. And this was the first thing that we got when the event campaign was a thing, or first started. Our good old dynamic power distributing module, of course this comes from the prototype Dreadnought or the Atlas. 11.3 all damage resistance rating, 19% directed energy damage. We use this for the clicking and survival, because we're going to need it. Bonus damage resistance, hull regen to self for 20 seconds when you click this, plus 40% bonus damage, while above 80% hull. That's 100 bonus damage resistance rating, plus 500% hull regen. And of course, we are always pairing that up with the point defense bombardment warhead, which comes from any version of the NX. 25% projectile damage, but for the cute, also 1% critical chance. But more importantly, when paired, this gives you plus 33% phaser damage for directed energy weapons. Helps a little bit here on this particular build. We're going to use the M6 computer. This comes from the Temporal Escort, which you can buy on Tier 3 Shipyard, I believe. It's very good. Very, very good console in my opinion. So it gives you 15% bonus all damage for 15 seconds, 25% cooldown reduction on tactical bridge officer abilities, 20% fire cycle haste for all weapons for 15 seconds, plus 30 active defense for 15 seconds as well. We're going to use, of course, the big brother of this console. We're going to skip over to here, which is the Domino, which comes with the Bajoran Interceptor. Very prominent on a lot of my Federation builds, especially if it's beam related. You can see there plus 15% phaser damage, plus 20 AC rating. The Domino is weapon damage plus haste extended by kills for 10 seconds, 25% fire cycle haste for energy weapons, plus 25% bonus all damage, plus 25% recharge speed for bridge officer abilities, plus 100% recharge speed for torpedo weapons. If you defeat a foe while this is on, it gives you plus 2 second duration to all effects, and it occurs stacks up to 10 times. So you can get this still. Now, we got this an event reward long time ago, but you can get this still as an epic reward there in the epic token of the Phoenix prize pack. Highly recommended. If you don't have it yet and you got an epic token, go for this, especially if you love your beam builds, especially phasers. Well, for me at least, phasers. And the next console to help this theme still go another step further. Caps, you know I love this console, the Experimental Power Redirection. This comes from the XL 2.0. A great ship, a great console, which of course you can get also from your event campaign. Plus 19.9% increased energy damage, 13.3 Starship weapon amplification, improves critical hit severity with weapons, and of course overwhelming area beam attack to sell for 15 seconds plus 60% energy weapon damage, scales with engine, shield, and aux power, swaps randomly between beam overload 3 and fire at will 3. So it just helps again with the theme of the build, which of course is both FAW and beam overload. And I've always said this is just a symphony of both of those. Each second applied auxiliary phaser beam array, overload at will 3, love that, to random target times 4, dealing 1,255.8 phaser damage to each. Kills increase the number up to 14 times. Great console. And we're just gonna, last console to round off the build, the Bioneural Infusion Circuits from the LLaP store. Love this console still. 29.5 Starship hull capacity, but also gives us a good plus 26.2% crit severity. So that is the build, Caps. I did not tier 6X or tier 6X to this ship because it's not one of the ships that I'll be using a lot. And if I do use it, it's good on its own. Because captains, keep in mind, I do these builds, I share these builds here on the bridge for our fun. Pure point blank. This was a pure immersion build, and that's why we did what we did. Plus, it was ordered to us. So, stat-wise, though, that gives us a crit chance of 37% and crit severity of 178.2%. Keep in mind, captains, I do have my Pendevers ranked to 600. Yes, I can go to 750. I choose not to because we were doing well before, and we're doing well now. If I was really wanting to min-max, then yeah, I can fill it out right away, but I'm not about that. We just like to show what we can do with what we have. So that's just my logic on that personally. So there's that. We'll go over the skills here. Specialization, nothing too different. Intel, primary, temporal, secondary. And here are my points. I have not changed this, nor do I plan on changing it. We have spent 8 in engineering, 10 in sci, and the rest in tactical. I'll go over our traits. So this is what we used. We use a good day to die, fragment of AI tech, beam barrage, anchored because we are going to be stationary when we can, especially when we're dealing with multiple targets, which of course, if you're familiar with Cure, we're going to go over how we're going to do it, but each station, each dock station there, we are just going to literally park sideways and let the beams do all the work. And this is going to help us do that as well. Adaptive offense, spear beam training, unconventional systems, Terran targeting systems, intelligent agent attaché or intelligence, and the Boimler effect. Starship traits, we have emergency weapon cycle, universal designs, overpowered and overgun, ship of the line, and the ruin of our enemies. Shout out here for this particular trade as well to Prototype, who gifted us the D7, I believe it's a Kelvin, no, the Strange New Worlds D7, which came with this trait. So thank you, and yeah, this trait is pretty good. And some people called it the ruin of our wallet because of how expensive this was back then. But you can get this from your event campaign as well. Space Rep, nothing different here. Precision, advanced targeting systems, enhanced shield pen, magnified firepower, and Tyler's duality. Our active space reputation here. We have the anti-time entanglement singularity, the biomolecular shield generator, the forced challenged, tethered non-baryonic asteroid, because why not yeet an asteroid around? I can't yeet it, but we can always pretend. And refracting Tetragon Cascade. Stations, left to right, top to bottom. That's what we did. Torpedo spread 1. Distributed target. Now the reason why I have that here is for this one here, Mixed Armaments Synergy. That when I press this and click on activating a beam, cannon, mine, or torpedo will cause you to gain 50% bonus all damage for the other 3 types. So I hit this, then I hit, of course, torpedo spread. It will help my beams. Again, distribute targeting there, emergency powered engines. Destabilized warp core. I love using this one. I just love the visuals it does, just cause. That's period point blank why I'm using it. Attack pattern beta, of course our main damage dealer here, fire at will 3. Armament synergy like mentioned earlier. Structural integrity collapse, emergency powered weapons, and narrow sensor bands 3. To round off tractor beam, scramble sensors, and photonic shockwave. Now we go to our dopes. The 2 ground always helping us in space, Neil Falconer. Increased damage versus Berg, which is going to come in handy. Elder Milikatan. Increase damage versus all. Then for our space, we have Mercycon holographic officer here. Recharges evasive maneuvers when we use emergency powered engines. So this is an escort. It's already pretty fast. This is going to help us zip around the map. Agent Neural. Attack pattern beta restores hull when firing. Gonna need that. We have 3 energy weapon officers here, which 2 of them give us a chance to stack crit severity, with the 1 giving us a chance to stack crit chance. Always when we fire our energy. Well, not always, it's a chance when we fire our energy weapons. The Lyrene, space increased damage versus the Berg. So there is the build. As I mentioned, we've been having a lot of fun with the ship. So what we're gonna do is take it into an advanced cure. So our plan of attack, as normal, is go to the left side, take all of that down as best as possible, take care of the ships heading towards the Kang, while we jet across to the right side, clear that up, take out the middle, tell Kang to get out, and then finish off the TFO. So that's the plan. Hopefully it goes well. Again, we're just doing a cure advance. And, oh, yeah, and we'll see how it does. Here we go. I do like the look of it. Again, it just it works, and it kind of makes sense. It kind of being like an autonomous type ship, the size and everything kind of works for it. Do this. Make sure we're heading over here. 10 seconds. We can buff up a little bit here. That on here. That up. Start doing that. Park ourselves. Kind of sideways, park ourselves. Take it out as best as we can. Take that out. We're gonna actually worry about everything else later. Head over to these guys over here. We need to clear it, we will. Again, it's doing pretty well. take care of these raptors before we take care of everything else. There's gonna be another set there, so there's the torps. Boom! It helps the immersion, it really does. Take care of these ones. We may have to go check that left station first, but we'll do that later. See, this helps the immersion, seeing those purple torps fire from this. No, 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 you die. There you go. Alright. So here we go. We're trying to take it on this side. Beam overload FAW goodness. The symphony starts. There goes these. There it goes. Cleared out everything. FAW still tuned pretty good. Now we'll just take care of the Borg Negvar warships here before we take out the last bit there. We'll save most of our buffs again when we head over to the center. We'll park ourselves here, allow anchor to stack up. There's the torps there. Woohoo! The bigger one I think is from the consoles. See, there's the beam overload proccing from the beams. I don't have beam overload on this. That's the actual proc of the beams. So I love that. Right, let's go over here. Take care of this. Park ourselves here. There's my purple torps doing its thing. That's awesome. There goes the assimilator. I still miss the Borg cubes, just saying. But as you can see, FAW's still doing his job and taking care of everything, really. And it's just more like just cleanup at the end of the day. There you go. The Beamscort did well. Did everything clear here? It did. Look at that. I thought we had to come back there, but she did pretty good. All right, let's tell Kang here to get out of here. Get out. Get out. Now, cool thing too, I'll try to show this right after. But when you're in red alert too, that little piece right there in the middle, it actually pops up and down. That's pretty cool. And there's the beam overload proccing again. We'll use that too as well. And look at that. Just like that. And you can see, watch, when you get out of red alert, this thing's gonna pop down and actually turns red too when you are in red alert. You can stop getting those buff goodness. There you go. But it sometimes does that a lot, just kind of goes in and out of red alert, but pretty cool. When you're in red alert, that thing just pops up, where in the show, it actually showed that is where the torpedoes were firing from. But there you go, Cap. That is how she did. She did pretty good, in my opinion. So we're going to go over here quickly to get our stealthies. Captains, if you don't know what that is, those are our ship stealthies. We like to use this as sometimes our thumbnail because just the lighting here is just so good. But there it is again, the angry Texas class when she goes into red alert. Love it with the Borg pieces. There you go. That's cool. It just pops up and down when you go in red alert, and I think that's awesome. So anyways, let's get out of here. Head back to New Romulus and give our final conclusion. But it performed really well, especially if you're just doing the pew-pews on yourself. You just want to get some action there. Pews in the Borgs in advance does pretty well. I mean, when I'm with my fellow captains as well, on Elite, this does, like I said, pretty well with the group. So there it is. That is the build. Again, huge shout out to Nick for gifting this ship to us, but also to SPACEBOY for the theme build here. I think it worked really well. As you can see, FAW did actually annihilate the whole dock on its own, but we synergized their build as best as possible. And again, captains, please keep in mind, I only do this to share the build and to show you how much fun we have here on the bridge on our nightly pew-pews, and of course it's just for fun. So As long as you synergize your build and it gets you through the content of what you play, that is all that matters. So, captains, do us a huge favor, hit that like button, and of course, comment below. Let us know if you have the ship, what you think of it, or if this is something that is on your list to get for your event campaign. And of course, consider subscribing here to our YouTube bridge. And as always, we will leave it on this note.
Live long and prosper.